Okay, so the same way you just checked eBay to see what was being watched and so on and so forth, you can use this particular tool as well. And this tool is just a generic way to search a lot of the forums simultaneously. You can either use this tool or go through watch forums and kind of take a look at what's been sold. One of the things I like about this particular tool is because Watch Recon, available at watchrecon.com, is just kind of bringing together all of these specific forums in an easy to glance at way. So what you can do is you can literally go here, type in Panerai as an example, and it will show you like all the Panerai listing. There's 6 pages of it. Now, on the surface, again, you might see like, okay, well, I'm looking at all these watches, so what, right? There's so many watches to go through, but you can also narrow it down a lot more. Once you have some data from eBay, you might say Panerai, for example, 88 as a model you want to see, and you can see here one was posted not too long ago. You can also go here on the 14 days and go all days, and now it shows you previous listings, and you can see how many were sold, how many were sitting, how often this model comes up, and this gives you again one more gauge overall view on the market. One of the things I really like again is the ability to scope the market. You can see watches are selling, you can see pricing at which they were listed. This again gives you good reference points to use. A big piece of this game is about the research. And I know that some people are, want to believe that you can make a lot of passive income without becoming good at something. But I will tell you that you don't have to know watches to get into watch trading, but you're going to get to know what models sell, what dollars, etc. And you're going to have to get good at that. I mean, you have to look at it like a game of real estate, right? You can't become a good real estate guy if you don't know what houses are worth what areas are good, where to buy, and so on and so forth. And this is the same thing here. It just gives you a good glance over the market. And you can do, of course, more targeted searches. You can just search Breitling, or you can go all the way to Breitling Chronomat as an example. You were going to put a space here. And then that's going to give you all of these leverage. So again, the continuous leverage here is what you're looking at, right? You're taking a look overall at everything. You're paying attention to your entire ecosystem of what's there. And then you can, of course, narrow it down of what's on the market recently, 14 days. And again, then you don't have a lot. You can go all the way down to 31 days, so you don't have to look at the entire world as a whole and can just look at 30 days worth. And again, this is all on one page. So there is enough data here to, again, validate or disvalidate what you learned on eBay. Now, one thing to be very cautious of to understand the difference here between eBay and these forums, because this in itself, as you can see, is not one place. By clicking each of these, you can see here where my cursor is, it says watch you seek, the Omega forums, watch you seek, watch you seek. Again, depending on the watch, Rolex forums, it's listed here on time zone. So it's listed in different forums. These are not all in one site like Watch Recon the site. These are just pulled into Watch Recon. So don't misunderstand. The other thing that's really important to understand is that eBay is a better gauge. That's why I put that market research first, because eBay is a more general, everybody is buying on eBay kind of model, versus on these forums, it's really watch traders. It's also big time jewelers, wholesalers, and not so much a retail clientele. Now, doesn't mean that these other platforms like eBay don't get these as well, but it means that in these platforms you will find, like right here, for example, you will find the listings that don't have fees. You will find someone's lowest possible price in context to eBay, which has a 10% fee and also has a 3% PayPal fee, a store fee. Like there's so many ways eBay can tack up something that it pushes the average person to typically list their watches higher on eBay than on these forums. However, on these forums here, it also gives you good reference as to what people are expecting to get on the wholesale market, and also how that compares to the retail market. So, if I was going to be doing a lot of studying between the different kind of platforms, etc., I would simplify it to give you context. I'll show you, for example, a way to do this. So you would look at, for example, the Panerai. Let's see if we can find the 525. We see a 525 here for 19. There isn't enough of them. I want to try to pick a watch that gives you some type of, I guess, some kind of reference point, so that it helps you hopefully just make better judgment of what's out there. So let's see, all these Panerais is amazing, like how little. I'm gonna try all this. So it can give me some pointers here. Let me try a 1950 case and see what comes up. And I'm searching this with you, so I haven't done this previously. I'm doing this live as we're talking here because I just want to try to see if I can find a model that has enough variation. Okay, here we go. Here's a 233. That's good. So the 233 is a good example here. We're going to use that as a baseline for moving the conversation forward so we don't get stuck on the same thing. And here we see a series of listings. You see 79.75, 69.95, 75. Then here sold at 75.22. This doesn't mean it was sold at 7,500. It just means that the listing was asking 75 and he marked it as sold, meaning it's gone. Here we can see one reduced to 6,500. And again, we can also see that there's a difference between these models called the dot dials and not, right? So now we can also go to eBay here and we can type in Panerai 233 and see what comes up and see kind of the difference based on what we learn. And here, while we're looking at the Panerai 233, again, we see pricing in the 8s, high 7s, 8. We see here one in the 6, 9 range. Here another one dot dial in 9,000 range, at 10,000. Again, you can see that the generic trends are much higher on eBay than they are here. Now, it doesn't mean that, it does not mean, to be clear, that these listings on eBay are going to sell for that and the listings here are not. This is just context to show you that some of these listings, how high they're listed. And again, you'll find others here, but this is in Japan, so it doesn't really count. You'll find others here that might be 7,000 and more aligned with some of the ones found here, like 7,000, etc. But I want to point out here that in general, you can see the reference point of lower pricing on the forums because these are encompassing of fees. And fees that unfortunately people have to pay when selling on eBay. Most cases, meaning someone has the power of hitting buy now and take that fee, and the fee is charged then to the seller, right? So that's what I wanted you to understand. I wanted you to see this. So, if you were here and you were looking at, okay, people, look at how many people are watching, 28 people watching at 69.80. And of course, a lot of these are going to be in the US and this is in Japan, so they're never going to buy this. 19 watching at 8. So this gives you a good reference point that these watches are going to be selling in the 7K range, when people are negotiating now, and they're going to get roughly about 7K or so for them. So when you start searching this, you start seeing that if you could buy, one of these watches significantly cheaper than that, you would be in a good position to be able to ultimately make money on this, right? Like, meaning be the person that sells it for 7. But you can see that everybody on the surface may seem to be wanting to get as close to 7 as they can, with some listings above, some listings below, but the majority of them in that same range. And then you can also check more recently to see if within the last 14 days there was any such watches. And this is also helpful because it tells you the density of watches that are going to be on the market at any given time with your specific watch as well. This is equally important because you want to not only research the fact that, what is the price point, how popular it is, but then you also want to research that it's not overly popular where there is 8,000 units on sale at the same time, giving you or putting you in a very competitive space. So it's kind of like such a good place to go to between both eBay, and checking kind of the overall strategy we looked at about people watching, etc. And then of course looking at forums to validate, offset, and then price kind of check where these values are. But between these two basic platforms, and again, don't just rely here on Watch Recon. If you need to, you can go straight to, you can see here it says 3 days on time zone, watch you seek. Again, you can go on these specific platforms directly. You do not have to use Watch Recon because God knows what happens to this site. Maybe it goes away. You can go directly on these forums or on the other places that I teach you where to go to use reference points. It's just easier to use tools like this because obviously you have access to something that allows you to get more data with less work.